just a bloke in a bar.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Bloke in a Bar, an Origin review brought to you by Bloke in a Bar. The smoothest, crispest. I mean, a lot of beer today will probably be going down like razor blades, especially if you're a Queenslander. But make sure to grab a case for this weekend, guys. Keeps the lights on, supports the community that we're building, gives me the ability to do these reviews straight after the Origin series. And after Origin game. What an incredible game. Now, if you step back, and obviously devastating as a Queensland fan, just filthy that's the performance we turned out as Queensland. So obviously I'm not sitting here going, oh, what a great game, and I'm not pissed off or anything. I was really upset that that's what we turned out for the Townsville people. I understand the boys had a dig, and they didn't intentionally turn out and put that performance on, but at the same time it was really disappointing, and I think that Queensland players and team and everything will be absolutely gutted. But from a purely, I guess, a footy purist perspective, it was fucking incredible from New South Wales. We've got Matty the Water Boy there, the producer. What did you think of last night, bro?
What's going on, Kempy? It's a great morning to be a New South Wales fan, especially after last year. That inherent arrogance that New South Wales fans kind of carried is gone, and I was kind of on edge coming into this series after last year. But now we put 50 on there, so I think that inherent arrogance is back.
Mate, I'll tell you what. To be honest, after a performance like that you just can have the arrogance, because that was fucking amazing, and it's like almost like scary. Like I don't know how Queensland combats that. You look at the stats. We had the same amount of ball, essentially the same amount of possession, but one team just utterly destroyed the other team with stronger ball running, better defense. We're going to get into it, and I spoke about it before the Origin. I said Latrell and Tommy are Queensland's nightmares, because the reason why they're a nightmare is that they are on another level. Like, they're not just good footy players. They are both once-in-a-generation footy players. And so as Queensland defending them both, it's almost impossible. How do you defend two guys that are just on another level? And we saw that last night. Latrell was making line breaks out of nothing, and just not just like, oh, he ran a good line and that's why he made the line break. No, he just got early ball, stepped a couple of blokes, fended a couple of blokes, and then Tommy was getting through so much work and creating so much opportunities for people around him, plus scoring tries. It was just, you can train all you want, you can have all the structure you want, you cannot defend against guys like that. You can't, and that's why before the match, I was so worried about Latrell and Tom Trbojevic. I just think that they are out and out once-in-a-generation athletes in the same generation. It's almost like when Queensland went 8 in a row, it was a joke. We had so many like future immortals or legends of the game in one era. To a lesser extent, it's not as much as 8 in a row. I'm not saying Latrell and Tom are, but if you had 4 or 5 more of those kind of players, then it would be. You know what I'm saying? And so they were just fucking incredible last night. Luai was amazing. Bizza was amazing. Cleary was fantastic. Jerome Luai looked like the main concern I had yesterday with Luai was like, if he connects with his outside men, he is going to be fucking dangerous. If he doesn't connect and he struggles to find that rhythm, it's going to be really hard for him to impact the game. But immediately, like in the first 5 minutes, he was throwing cut-out balls straight to Tommy and straight to Latrell. And then when I saw that, I was like, fuck, they're on here. Like, they've connected. They're not... sometimes, for example, they're all young. Like, so that's an easy way to connect. They probably like the same things. They're from the same generation. Whereas, like, let's say Latrell was like 30 years old. It's probably harder for him to connect to a 22, 23-year-old. Whereas, like, Latrell's 23, Tommy's 24. I think Jerome's like 21, 22. It was incredible, and Bizza as well. Like for Queensland not to kick, they kicked twice to Bizza on their line for the whole game. Like, that is poor execution, regardless of how you play. And so the second kick, it actually landed, and we nearly scored. But yeah, so like, what were your thoughts of the game, and what stood out to you?
I was sitting on my couch last night, and I think the game was 3 or 4 minutes old. We had our first attacking set, and I saw Tom Trbojevic pop up on Latrell Mitchell's side.
Yeah.
And the first thing I thought was, here we go. This is Perth 2019 vibes.
Yeah.
That got me excited straight away. As a Queensland fan, when you saw that, did you shit your pants?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm wearing the same pants. They've got shit in them still. I stink. That's why when I walked in, you were like, whoa, what's that smell? That is the actual shit and feces from last night's game. Might even be a bit of jizz in there. Like, even though I'm a Queenslander, I may have jizzed my pants just due to the high quality footy. Honestly, like when I saw Tommy across there, it was just good. It was an indication that Freddie had not tried to change anything. He had just gone, Tommy, do whatever you want. Like Tommy barely played. Again, I sound like a dickhead. Like I told you so, or saying I said this. So I apologise for that. Because I probably there was a bunch of things I was wrong on, but I did say like I don't think Tommy should be playing centre. I think you need to push him in and get your edge back rowers to push out and cover his position, and that's exactly what happened. The edge back rowers in attack pushed out. Tommy Trbojevic essentially was everywhere on the field. Anywhere the ball was. And what's crazy is that I said the only concern with that was if Tommy's always in and Teddy's always in, are they going to take the ball away from each other? You know what I mean? Like, is it going to be too hard to manage that balance? But Teddy just played his position it was a real captain's knock from Teddy. He still ran for over 200 metres and he was still fucking amazing. Still had 9 tackle breaks. But he allowed, it's very easy for a guy like, it would have been very easy for a guy like Teddy, who has been New South Wales best player for fucking ever, for the last 3 to 4 years or 3 years. Very easy for him to want to take centre stage and be like, I'm the man, because he is the fucking man. And yet he took us not a full step back, but maybe half a step back to go, I'm going to allow Tommy to do his thing. I'm going to allow Latrell to do their thing. And it was brilliant. We couldn't stop it. We literally couldn't stop it. We had the same amount of ball, same amount of possession. These two guys were just tearing us apart. Matter of fact, you take away their points, that's 5 tries. So he had a try. So they had 5 tries and 3 try involvements. That's 8 tries between the centre pairings. So if you take that away, now I know that if someone else was in that centre position, they may have had a try assist or whatever, but they wouldn't have had 8 try involvements. And so I just think, like, if you take Tommy and Latrell out of that team, you probably have a much tighter contest. And we look back to last season, which 2 players weren't in the team?
Yeah, exactly.
Latrell and Tommy.
Yep. So,
like, that just proves, like, they are fucking just so far ahead of the pack when it comes to their ability to just tear teams. There's nothing you can do. The only way you can combat it is by basically having no missed tackles on any other players. You know what I mean? Like, if you're going to miss tackles on them, you can be like, all right, we're going to miss tackles, let's scramble, but we can't afford to be missing tackles on anyone else. The only problem with that is Brian To'o comes in and fucking skittles you every time he runs the ball, and then you've got Jerome Luai and Cleary playing as good as they do at club. Yeah, absolutely incredible. Like, and we've got to remember the journey that both of those players has been on. Think of the pressure and think of the constant noise of Tom Trbojevic, hamstring, injuries. Is he going to be okay? Oh, I don't think, he's ever going to live up to his potential. He's injured too much. That would be playing on their mind constantly. And Tom Trbojevic has just exploded back onto the scene. And then you've got Latrell, who had one of the most historic Origin axings of all time. Like, it was such a dramatic dropping from the team. Comes back in and does what he does last night, and you go, oh, that's Latrell Mitchell. Like, okay. And that's why I think I even said it last year, maybe not on air, but I said it last year. I honestly think Latrell in that side last year would have made a big difference, and they really missed Latrell last year. So, yeah, as soon as I saw Tommy just hunting around and just constantly being a threat, like constantly, every time he got the ball, you're like, fuck, here we go again. So,
who would have thought he'd have a left boot on him as well when he set up Latrell?
Crazy.
And when's the last time 2 centres have combined for a try in Origin?
Well, I think combined for multiple tries.
Yeah, insane.
So he had a try assist for Latrell. Latrell had a try assist for him.
Oh, that's true. That's
incredible.
Yeah.
Like, we've never, like, I said before the match, is Latrell and Tommy the most dangerous centre pairing of all time?
I think they've answered your question.
Sorry?
I think they've answered your question.
Well, I said, are they one of the most dangerous pairings of all time? Yes, it's been one game.
Yeah.
So, like, you would look like a Greg Inglis and Hodjo. Like, they did it for years.
Yeah.
But even those two, they never had a game like that together.
Yeah.
Greg Inglis did. Greg Inglis has had games similar to that. But I've never seen 2 centres do that before. 8 try involvements, 2 centres in Origin. I've never seen that before.
Don't you think it's crazy as well? Latrell, as you said, got sensationally dropped 2 years ago. Hasn't played since. He's played 2 games since he was suspended a few weeks ago. Don't you think that everyone kind of just expected him to explode? Did you get that feeling? Like every time I heard someone say something, he's like, yeah, I'm expecting Latrell to explode. I'm expecting Latrell to explode. Like, that's a lot of added pressure. If he didn't do anything, then he would have got absolutely berated once again. But
and it's almost like even the commentators, like on 9 and that after the game, were like, Latrell had a good game and some good touches, good try involvements, good tries. There were some that were wrapping him up, but it was almost like it was expected. Like what he did was amazing.
Crazy.
And don't get me wrong, Tommy was also fucking incredible. But I think that and Tommy deserved to get as much praise as he did. Please do not think no one's more of a fan of Tommy than me. No one's more of a fan of Tommy than me. But I thought that Latrell was just as good as Tommy. I really did. He had multiple try assists. He had 2 tries, 2 line breaks, 10 tackle breaks, 170 meters or so. Whereas Tommy had 3 tries, a try assist, 200 meters. So when they're relatively even. Now either or gets man of the match. But again, I agree with you. I think sometimes with Latrell, you see it happen and you're just like, oh yeah, that's of course. Like that's Latrell Mitchell. Like of course he throws 3 blokes off and makes a line break out of nothing. And you're right. Like people just expected him to explode and expected him to do these great things. And if he just played solidly, everyone were like, oh, Latrell was quiet, this, that, and the next thing. But yeah, I mean, Tom Trbojevic especially. Like the thing about Tom Trbojevic is the heights that he can reach. I don't think we've ever seen something like this before. Like we haven't seen since Joey. Now again, Joey had a career of it. Joey is way more runs on the board. Did it for a long period of time. So I'm not saying he's as good as Joey, but the impact he has on teams is so fucking dramatic. It's scary. We do not see players have this much impact on teams. He changes teams. Like, yes, Latrell had an incredible game last night, but even in Perth a couple of years ago, Tommy came into the side and changed the side after Queensland had won game 1. And so I just think with a player like Tommy, we've never seen, Joey, incredible ball player, the best of all time, in my opinion, the best skills with the ball in hand of all time. But he wasn't, 6'4" and 105 kilos. Now, I'm not saying Tommy is as good as a ball player, but Tommy is a fucking great ball player. Plus, he is 6 foot fucking whatever and 100 and whatever kilos. Like, his ceiling is literally anything he wants to do. And on top of all that, he gets through a bunch of work. Like, very rarely do we see a bloke as big as him, as fast as him, as talented as him, also do the grunt meters and want to touch the ball 20 to 30 times. He's just absolutely amazing. And I guess I just appreciate greatness when you see it with guys like Tommy. We are witnessing something so incredible. If he can stay injury-free, the heights that he can reach truly may have never been reached before. You even look at the Manly club. Him at Manly, they can recruit anyone they want. Let's say they sort their salary cap out. They can recruit any player they want over the next 10 years once they sort the salary cap out because Tom Trbojevic is there. There's not a single player in the NRL, if they're coming off contract and get a decent offer from Manly, aren't going to want to play with Tom Trbojevic.
100%. Speaking of Perth 2 years ago, the last time Tariq Sims played was Perth 2 years ago. I guess he wasn't a surprise selection, but he was definitely, the most talked about.
Well, even he said he was surprised.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll be honest. I love Tariq. I think he's a fucking legend of a bloke, and I think he's a great player. But I was surprised. I thought that he would be in the conversation because of the type of footy he plays, but I thought they may go a different direction. But he was fantastic. He was really fucking good. Really fucking good. And there's that tag of origin kind of player. He is an origin kind of player. And he proved that last night. Like his pass, cutout pass after that great line he ran. Like a lot of people, that was the difference. I was watching Queensland attacking and it was so clunky. People were missing their timings. People were coming into the line late. They were missing the jump, or they were too early, or they were running through lines lazily. Whereas Tariq Sims, when he set up that try, they were all crowding the ball. He comes out, steps a bit further away from Nathan Cleary, gives himself enough space just to run a good line. Cleary sees that, holds the ball up enough, and makes the play. That was a brilliant play from Tariq Sims, but it all started from not being lazy. Like, he could have been lazy and just ran a lazy line. I think it was a fifth and last. He could have just ran a lazy line, did his job, tick the boxes. But he wasn't lazy. He got an extra few meters out so he could run that line, and it changed everything. And I think that was a big difference. Like, all the little tasks that New South Wales had, they nailed it. They all nailed their tasks. Like Tariq Sims was fantastic. And I think that, you would go as far as to say is that, Angus Crichton, does he get that spot back? I'm not sure. I think maybe you put Angus on the bench and he gets Liam Martin's spot, but Liam Martin was good as well. Very hard to make changes to a team.
Well, you got to think in Perth, when Blues did the job in Perth 2 years ago, Clemmer was fit to come back, but initially Freddie didn't pick him. It wasn't until Tariq Sims got suspended that Clemmer came back in. So that kind of would indicate to me that maybe Freddie will just keep his 17.
I think he may keep Sims there, but he'll bring Crichton to the bench, I think. In saying that, very hard to change a 50-6 winning team. You know what I mean? Maybe he keeps the same team for next series. If they lose, then he may bring someone in.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tariq was fucking fantastic, and I'm stoked for him because, he's been at the Dragons. They've been struggling. He's kept fucking working, and he gets to have these incredible moments now because he's kept working, kept his head down, got through tough times, and he had a fucking great game.
I was watching the game last night with someone who had never watched Origin before. And about 20, 30 minutes into the game, after Toto scored his second, I said to her, oh, it's his first game, and pointed at Jerome Luai, and it's his first game as well. And she couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
You could be forgiven for thinking for forgetting it was their debuts. They were both so confident from the minute that ball was kicked.
Oh, they were incredible. And I think it had a lot to do with the Panthers, the fact that Cleary's been there for quite a while. So it's Cleary's team. Let's make no fucking...
Oh, yeah.
The reason why Freddie Fittler has stuck with Cleary is because he's giving him the team, He's basically planning, like, Cleary, this is your Origin squad for the next 10 years. Don't get me wrong, Tedesco's a captain, and he is the captain, but Cleary leads them around the park. And I just think that helps so much, bringing Jerome in and basically bringing Toto in, bringing Isaiah Yeo in, bringing Liam Martin in. It would have felt very comfortable for them. It was a perfect setup for a debut when it comes to two young guys, have a lot of talent, but haven't, been on the big stage before. They had with their grand final.
Yeah.
I also think they would have learned a lot from the grand final last year, but I don't think anyone could have predicted they would have played that well. I thought Toto, I was scared of Toto because I just think he suits Origin footy. The amount of work he gets through and his ability to post-contact meters and his footwork and his tackle break, I thought that with the speed of the game, he would really suit it. I was probably more concerned. I knew Luai could do it, but I thought it was less likely that he would have such an incredible game. But both of them were amazing. Jerome to do what he was doing for Penrith against Queensland is incredible in his first game. It didn't even look like he was playing for the Blues. You know what I mean? It looked like he was playing for Panthers. There were times there, even just little things. So he took a scoot really early, and it was a really good run. And I was like, that's perfect. That's such a smart decision from him. I'm sure he would have been told by Brad Fittler, get in and take a scoot straight away so you get in the game. But it's one thing to be told by your coach. It's another thing to have the guts to go, you know what, I'm getting in there. It's my debut, but I need to run on the fucking second or third tackle or whatever. Had a scoot, and then he had two involvements in the next 5 minutes, and both involvements were just catch and just spinning it to Latrell and Tommy. And when he started doing that, that's going to give him confidence because those boys have got a bit of space. And also, your passing is crisp. It landed where it needs. You know what I mean? It gives you that confidence of all right, we're on here. I nailed the pass. I've got the timing with Latrell. I've got the timing with Tom. And so, yeah, Luai, the scary thing is these guys can be together for the next 10 years. That's what's fucking scary. That was their first game together in New South Wales. Yes, it's just one game, so it doesn't mean that it's a definite thing. But with the information we've got so far, it's a fucking scary prospect, especially a guy like Toto. He impacted the game so dramatically. Every time New South Wales were even slightly under the pump, Toto takes a carry and we're on the back foot. And it's so hard to defend that when you're constantly on the back foot and New South Wales are constantly playing on the advantage line footy. And that's what they did. So incredible debut from Luai and Toto. And it's a fucking scary prospect for Queensland if they continue this form.
Now, taking away nothing from Cleary, and that cut, he was incredible. And that cut in his head, that photo will live in Origin folklore forever. But last year and years gone by, it's been Christian Welch that's been terrorising him. And he went off injured early. Do you think that injury was a bit understated?
Oh, absolutely. Like, look, these things are hard to talk about because as soon as you start talking about them, fans will say, well, you're making excuses. Let me be really clear. I'm not making excuses for Queensland. New South Wales were fucking incredible, and it didn't matter who we had in that side on the weekend, last night, sorry. I still think New South Wales would have won the game. So please don't think that. Like, this is nothing away from New South Wales. They were amazing, and every single player, in my opinion, for New South Wales, well, at least 16 out of the 17 or 15 out of the 17 were fucking amazing. Like, 17 of 17 were great. Not a single player had a bad game. So there's taking nothing away from New South Wales, but it's a big loss losing Papali, Lindsay Collins, and then Christian Welch. Like, that's two of our starting front rowers and one off the bench. And so that definitely is going to impact our go forward. But the problem is when you look at, the statistics, is that the New South Wales forwards didn't actually run that many metres. It was only Saifidi and Haas that ran over 100 metres. Every other New South Wales forwards ran under 100 metres. It was actually the defence that was the issue. So that's why I say it doesn't matter who we had in, it still probably would have been the same result because although Welch is a fantastic player, you wouldn't say he's this known defender that was going to shore up everyone's defence, because when you look at the stats, the missed tackles from Queensland in the middle were honestly shocking, really shocking. Now, obviously, it's very easy for me to sit here and go, I had all these missed tackles. It's fucking Origin, so I'm not saying I could have fucking done any better. And the Queensland boys, clearly there was a role on that they were struggling to grasp. But at the same time, when you're missing, so I'll go to the stats. So New South Wales had 52 tackle breaks compared to Queensland's 31. They doubled Queensland's kick return metres.
Wow, that's a telling sign, isn't it? The back fives, yeah. That's crazy.
So when you're doubling, when To'o and Tedesco and Adokar are doing things like that, doubling. So they had double the amount, as in every set, they were basically double ahead. They started, they started in double better position, however that fucking works. Terrible at maths, so whatever. But the big issue, Queensland, 52 missed tackles compared to New South Wales, 31. And Queensland had 14 errors. Now, that the scary thing is you can bring Papali, look, if we had Papali, Lindsay Collins, and Welch, obviously that's going to shore our middle up. But is it the only two of them can be on the field at one time? Are two of those players going to shore it up that much? Do you know what I mean? What was it? 21 tackles. We missed 21 more tackles than them. So two players, let's say they missed three more. Let's say both of those players missed 3 less tackles than two of their counterparts. That's only 6 tackles. Yeah. So how do we make up the other fucking 16 tackles? Or, what is it? So, sorry, 6 tackles, 15... Oh, man, I've heard it.
It's about 16.
15,
16, yeah. 15,
16. So let's say we missed 15 less, we missed 15 more tackles rather than 21 more tackles. 20, so it's 15. So we missed 21 more tackles, and let's say Papali and Welch missed 3 less each, which is 6. Let's say we missed 15 more tackles than them. That's still way too much. And so that's the biggest concern right now, is that even if we had a full strength side with the best forwards that we could name, where do you make up those 15 extra missed tackles when it really should be a much closer thing? Now, I totally understand the argument against that is they had such an incredible roll on that we couldn't stop it, and that's why we were missing tackles. Fair play. I'm not saying that it's easy, but I am saying if we want to win, we can't have 21 more missed tackles than them or 15 more missed tackles. You know, and the errors 14 to 11, like some of the errors were really just silly errors. You know, the Kyle Felt one where we shouldered Addo-Carr off the ball. Like, you know, Kyle Felt, he's a veteran, you know, and I was so stoked that he got his run, and I'm sure he's just as frustrated as everyone else. And I know that he was just trying to do the right thing because he thought Addo-Carr might get there. But it was a silly error that really, really cost us. And there was another error. Who was it? I wrote notes down last night of the game as I was crying. But where is it? Yeah, and then Offengow, Joe Offengow, what did he do? He just ran through and he was looking at, he took the catcher out.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that was a bit
and
silly.
And it was so silly. It's like that's not a fatigue error. That's not you know what I mean? Like those two mistakes for me was just like, man, we got to be switched on here. Like they are just out and out errors that veterans like those two shouldn't be making. And again, it wasn't just them. They're just the two that I remember. So a lot of the errors and the penalties were just silly mistakes from Queensland. Very unlike Queensland. You know, Queensland are usually the ones that are very gritty, very grindy. You know, so although Welch was a massive loss and Papali'i, massive loss, and Lindsay Collins, massive loss, I don't think that changes the score that much. You know, it might have been 30-6 rather than 50-6, but, you know, we have to sort out that defence very, very quickly. Otherwise, I think it's going to be a similar result.
Well, in that case, then what's Paul Green thinking this morning? What's he thinking 2.5 weeks out from Suncorp Stadium? What has he got to change?
Man, honestly, it was such a so I just felt when I was watching Queensland play, they looked too structured. Their attack looked really clunky, and they were trying to do like a lot of set plays, you know, runarounds, and I just think that the game has moved past that kind of style of play, of getting to a point and then putting on like these big set plays, or at least Origin. Origin is so fucking fast that, you know, the reason why like a big reason why New South Wales won was because they were just running harder and tackling harder. Like they were constantly, every run they made, it felt like they were running harder than we were running. You know, it was only really Fotuaika that came on and really, I guess, bent the line and was running as hard as it seemed that they were running. And I'm not saying that the Queensland team intentionally ran soft or anything like that. What I'm saying is that it felt like Queensland were trying to play it seemed like a dated game plan. Like it seemed like, you know, a game plan from a few years ago, whereas New South Wales were basically just playing advantage footy. Get on the advantage line and let's just fucking go at them. You look at a lot of their tries. Like Latrell's line breaks were just early ball. Even Tom Trbojevic, like it was a out the back play kind of, I think, but it wasn't too complicated. Very simple, man on man, playing on the advantage line and just too fast. Then you've got Jerome Luai's assist to Latrell that went to Tom Trbojevic. That was just advantage line footy, running an overs line and attacking the line, just playing on the advantage line. And I think New South Wales, put it this way, I thought that was the best game I've personally seen Freddie Fittler coach, because everything that he planned, he nailed. Even the negative aspects. For example, Cleary got the blood bin. He came off. Whiten went on. So Freddie Fittler picked correctly by having a half on the bench. He could bring a half back on. And then Cam Murray went off with a head knock. He brought Liam Martin on, an edge back rower. And then he had Paulo and Haas on the bench, who you could have argued should have started, but it actually worked in their advantage, because what they did was they had the mobile guys in the middle to make the game speed really quick and also be able to handle Queensland if the game speed was really quick. And then when there was a bit of fatigue, he brought big Payne Haas and Junior Paulo on, and they were fucking incredible. Like, Payne Haas was just bowling us. He was just bowling us, and we couldn't keep up with him. The impact that Haas and Junior Paulo had off the bench, we couldn't go with him. Our bench, unfortunately, Fotuaika was fantastic, but outside of him, our bench just didn't have the same impact. And so that's why I believe that it was, in my opinion, Freddie Fittler's best coaching that he's done. You know, he had every position. Everything was nailed. There was not a single part of his game plan that he didn't nail. Like even Nathan Cleary's line break to try assist, that was just playing on the advantage line. Like, so when you look at all of New South Wales tries, all it was playing on the advantage line and running very simple lines. Whereas when you saw Queensland get down into the good ball set for them, it was very complicated, old school, trying to strip them of numbers instead of just, hitting lines and going again, hitting lines and going again. So I think that needs to absolutely change. We cannot go in with a game plan like that again. We need to go in with a game plan basically the same as New South Wales and try to beat them there, even though it's going to be very hard because they've got such an incredible backline. But yeah, I think Greeny needs to change the game plan.
Freddie actually admitted after last year that he got out coached in game 3, I guess by, he said he never expected fullback to go down, but he did. He say he nailed his game plan for this game. In his camp, he's got the likes of Danny Badiris, Gray Alexander, Craig Fitzgibbon. Now, Freddie's never won it at Suncorp as a coach, but those 4 guys know how to win at Suncorp. You say that he nailed the game plan. That's why I think it'll be very interesting to see if he makes any changes for game 2. And do you think he'll change anything about the way they play in game 2?
Freddie? Nah, no way. Put it this way. They played game 2 like Queensland played game 3 last year. Like, what is Wayne known for? It's not tactical game plans. It's about getting the boys up to run hard and tackle hard. And that's what the game is these days. It really is momentum footy, running hard and tackle hard. And also, this is Origin, so it's even faster. I just thought it was a masterclass from Freddie. And I thought the humbleness to admit, maybe I got out coached last year, not only to admit it, but he clearly learnt from it. What did Queensland do in game 3 better than New South Wales? They ran harder and they tackled
exactly
harder.
Right. Yeah. Whenever New South Wales had the ball last year, it looked like they weren't going to get out of their 20.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every time New South Wales had the ball, Queensland were shooting off the line, and it was like, fuck me.
As a New South Wales fan, I remember watching that and it was one of those games where as a fan, you just think you're never going to score.
Yeah.
As a Blues fan. It was I hated it.
They had no momentum, and it was like, and you know what's crazy is Christian Welsh and Lindsay Collins led a lot of that.
That's right.
So yes, they are going to make a difference. Obviously Lindsay can't come back, and yes, they are a big loss. But we need to find a way to instill that attitude into, a lot of our tries last year in game 3, it was just Munster just fucking around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
It was just Munster on the advantage line, getting forward, and yeah, it was a masterclass from Freddie Fittler. I don't think he changes anything. I think he's fully grasped what the game is now. I think he is he did everything perfectly, in my opinion. Maybe there's probably things that I'm not seeing that people that with better footy minds did see, but in my opinion, in every part of the game, conscious decisions he made, it came off. Like Whiten on the bench, came on for Cleary when he was cut. Like Martin on the bench for Cam Murray, edge back rower. Like bringing those big boys on after the fitter, more mobile guys got through all the tough work, brought the big boys on. And so, because now if you looked at the speed of the game of last night, if they had started Haas and Paulo, maybe they would have gassed because they're such big boys and it was so quick. They're less mobile. They're not as good laterally. Whereas the players that they had on were fantastic laterally. So, yeah, I don't think he changed everything. I think Green needs to change the game plan and just basically throw the game plan out. And I guess, look, Green's won premierships. He's a fantastic coach. He's a great coach. But the argument could be made that, his last few years at the Cowboys, they were struggling to adapt to the new game. And I wonder, are we seeing evidence of that in the way Queensland played last night, in the sense that game plan also didn't seem to be adapted to the new style of footy? And, again, Greeny, incredible coach, and he's won premierships, and he turned the Cowboys around, like, amazing. But when he did get signed for Queensland, you got to remember that the Cowboys had gotten, they nearly won the wooden spoon. Like, they'd come, what did they come the years before he...
Well, in 2009 and that, Thurston's team was last. He got the wooden spoon, or I think 2008 or something. Then they struggled.
Green turned them around.
That's absolutely. What I'm saying, yeah.
He absolutely fucking turned around. Like, there is no denying. Like, he was incredible. But 2018, 2019... They were like, what, 14, 15, 13?
Down there, yeah.
And so that's where he was as a coach, regardless of whose fault it was. And so I think that if Greeny is to turn this around for Queensland, I think he needs to try a new game plan. Again, I could be totally wrong. He's way more successful. He's done way more in footy, and he knows way more than footy about me. That's just outside looking in. I'm sure there's more to it. But just looking from what I saw, it looked like they were playing an older style of footy. So hopefully Greeny can turn around, because he can do it. If he can turn the Cowboys around, he can fucking turn Queensland around. You know what I mean?
100%.
It was only 2017 that they made the grand final, Cowboys.
From nowhere.
With no one.
Yeah.
So we have to remember, Greeny can fucking do it. He can do it. It's just a matter of how he does it. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
So let's say Ponga's back next game. Everyone's fit. Where does he fit in? Obviously, he'll go fullback, but where does that back five change? Because that was a huge difference of last night.
Oh, man. I mean, Ponga absolutely has to be fullback. Look, I think Harry Grant will have played more minutes by then, so you can probably start him. I do think that Harry Grant had really good moments, but I think you could, for example, he missed 7 tackles. Harry Grant doesn't miss 7 tackles. Now, I still think that Harry Grant had some fantastic moments in the game. I actually thought there were moments where he really did give us a bit of momentum. It was just there was no one there to kind of go with him. And he's going to be better for it. I think he's going to be a much better version of himself in 2 weeks than he is. We have to remember, he hasn't played any footy for nearly 4 weeks, I think. And also Cameron Munster, no footy for 3 or 4 weeks. They both looked a little bit, again, if their names were Harry Grant and Cam Munster, you're not even saying anything. You would be like, actually, they did some good things. But because they are 2 of the best in the game, Cam Munster right now, in my opinion, is the best 6 in the game. And Harry Grant, when he's good on, is the best 9 in the game. But they haven't played for a few weeks. They're human beings. It's going to take them time to get that match fitness back. Whereas Damien Cook, he chose his moments and executed. It was his dummy half scoot that broke the game open.
He only had 2 runs, and they were both game breakers.
Both game breakers. Yeah. And so what does that show you? That's experience. That's being in the Origin arena, knowing when to take your runs, and also knowing when to get the ball to your halves. So I think Cook was actually, an underrated, unsung hero. Put it this way, Cleary and Jerome can't do what they do unless they're getting good service from Cook. So Cook all night gave them high quality service, plus he made 2 runs, and they were both fucking fantastic. If that's not a fucking great knock from a guy that... it would have been very easy for him to just focus on his running game, because everyone's been saying, he's got to run the ball more, And yet he was unselfish and only picked his moments. So I just think that Harry Grant's going to be better for it. Munster's going to be much better for it. I wonder, do you carry Reid? I mean, you can't carry Reid.
Yeah. Do you put Ben Hunt on the bench?
I think Ben Hunt's smarter on the bench. I think if you're going to play Brimo, you got to start him.
That's right.
He had some good touches, but he hasn't played 14 before, and he's only played 1 Origin game. You can't expect Brimo just to know what to do. You know what I mean? You can't expect him just to be this great 14 and he come on as hooker, but we're already under the pump, and you're expecting this guy to just come on and know what to do. It's going to be interesting. I think he probably does bring Ben Hunt on the bench just for experience. That's not saying Brimo played poorly. I just don't think he got much of an opportunity. Not at all. But I think you put Ponga at fullback. I think you put Holmes on one wing. I think Coates probably gets replaced on the other wing. Unfortunately, he had a pretty rough night, 4 errors. I just think right now, with everything that's going on at Broncos, he's moving to a new club. I just think Coates needs a bit of time at club footy just to get his bearings again, just to get that confidence back, to become the freak that we all know he is. Even before coming into this series, he did mention that he hadn't been playing that well to be selected. And so I just think, look, let's get Coates back into club footy, get him playing good footy, enjoying his footy. I guess the only problem is that, who do you replace him with? So I guess I'll have more of a think about it come game 2 when we start predicting the sides. Because the last thing you want to do, you don't want to burn Coates, because Coates is our long-term winger. Coates is Queensland's 10-year winger, but you don't want to bring him in and burn his confidence now so that next year's series he's struggling with confidence, I'm just trying to have a quick look at the stats. So Cookie, 1 try assist, 49 metres, 34 tackles, 1 miss. 1 line break assist. I mean, that's just a fucking what a good performance.
As you said, picked his moments to absolute perfection.
To absolute perfection. Your halves can't play well unless your hooker is giving you the ball. And also, like, people got to remember, he has to decide who gets the ball. People don't appreciate that. Like, so for Luai and Cleary to have incredible matches, Cook has obviously delivered the right ball at the right time and run at the right time. So yeah, great match. Like even Jerome Luai picked his moments perfectly too. You know, he wasn't running the ball too much, but when he saw the opportunities, he took it. So yeah, I mean, I thought Daniel Saifidi was fucking fantastic, like really, really good. But Payne Haas for me, honestly, comes on and in 57 minutes, he ran for 132 metres. He had 4 tackle breaks, 33 tackles, 0 misses.
He's unbelievable.
He's fucking amazing.
You forget how young he is as well.
Oh my, he's like 20?
Yeah, he's 20 and he's a front rower in his like third or fourth year of origin.
He's fucking amazing. He's amazing. Like, and I know like people may say like Broncos bias, and maybe I do have a Broncos bias, but you know, he's just fucking incredible. Like, I thought Isaiah Yeo was really good at getting in there and, you know, helping ball play. Every now and then he would help just tip onto his forwards.
Had a good tackle at the end as well, which Freddie called the moment of the match.
Mate, great tackle. That's what you want. And also, you know, he didn't get as much raps, but who was the bloke that took Coates? Was it Coates?
Yeah, it was Coates.
And nearly threw him into third row. Yeah. Latrell. You know?
Crazy.
Incredible by both people, by Isaiah Yeo and by Latrell. Like, it just showed that the Blues were up for it, man. They're believing it. They're buying into it. I think the Penrith boys brought a lot of energy to it as well.
Here's a question for you. What did you think of Jake Travojevic's role? He only played, I think, 25, 30 minutes. It was a short stint at the start, but he had a lot of energy. What do you think of how Freddie played him?
I thought it was great. Like, Jake Travojevic he's the lock-up guy. You know, you got so many throbbers around you. So, like, it's a joke, the New South Wales Blues side.
Crazy.
You look around, you're going, fuck, we got this incredible player. You need guys like Jake Travojevic in the middle to just clean you up. Same with Cam Murray. I actually thought Cam Murray's work on Dave Fafita a couple of times was fucking fantastic. Like, fantastic. And I think that Freddie Fittler told Cam Murray, I need you to do a job on Fafita. And I think he did it. Obviously, he got taken off, you know, after the 56th minute. But that first half, I thought he did a job on Fafita and on his edge.
Jake Travojevic, he's just that guy you wonder, during camp, because I was in camp the last 6 or so years.
Yeah.
Freddie does yoga every morning, and it's open for the whole team. Every single morning that I was there in the last 3 years, Jake Travojevic was there at 6 a.m. every morning doing yoga.
So Jake Travojevic is there first every time?
First every time.
And is it optional?
It's optional. You don't have to go. And he's there every single morning.
And was he the only player there every fucking morning?
Only one there every morning. Tommy's there a lot as well.
Yeah.
But Jake was the one. Freddie's always there, obviously, and the coaching staff.
Wow.
But Jakey, yeah.
So just so people know, Matty the Waterboy, you were with New South Wales from 2015?
2016 to 2020.
Till 2020 doing their like digital stuff?
Digital media stuff, yeah. So I was always in and around camp.
So that's why he's in the side. You know what I mean? That's why he's in the starting side. Jake Travojevic rocking up at 6 a.m. to optional yoga. And Jake Travojevic, he's not a young gun trying to make it. He's a seasoned veteran. 6 a.m. yoga. Fuck, that's why he's in the side. But you need guys like Jake Travojevic and Cam Murray on your side because they just clean it up. They're just the fucking get through their shit work. Put it this way, Dave Fafita, 2 tackle breaks. 2 tackle breaks. David Fafita, 2 tackle breaks.
He made, 16 the other week?
That's fucking incredible from New South Wales. Cam Murray, Jake Travojevic, Isaiah Yeo, all those fucking dogs in the middle, those merchants that just clean it up. They just clean it up. And then you got the throbbers like Tom Travojevic and Latrell Mitchell just breaking teams apart. You got Addo Carr, you got Tedesco. Like, it is just a beautiful setup. And as I said, I just think that Freddie and all the players, everything was executed to perfection. Everything was executed to perfection. Yeah, you know, so just incredible performance.
I know Fafita was injured last year, so he didn't get a chance last year, but we're still kind of waiting for him to really stamp his authority for Queensland.
Well, in his first series he did.
Yeah.
But you're right. I don't think he's had that many opportunities though,
That's
to be honest.
true, yeah.
He hasn't had that many opportunities, and he's also had a few injuries. Like he just needs a year of footy. It's so important to just get a year of footy. But you're right though. Like you would have been hoping that he would have impacted the game more than he did. I felt like on the first try that New South Wales scored, I was pretty disappointed with his line speed. He didn't get off the line quick enough. Now, don't get me wrong, he was probably fucking so gassed. Or the thing is you don't know what these players are going in with. Like he may be getting needled to play. You just don't know. And I don't think that he played poorly by any stretch.
No, not at all.
But just a little thing like you're right. He was anointed as Queensland's fucking next enforcer, the next guy, not enforcer, but just that next game breaker.
Yeah.
And I just think just the hiccups with all the injuries and that, I just think that that's just hurt him a little bit, like hurt his development. Like people just got to understand how, even for a guy like Dave Fafita, it's not easy just to rock up and tear teams apart. You need preparation, you need games under your belt, you need your other forwards to be going forward, you need to be getting good ball. So yeah, I think, like I thought Tino was good in that first half. I thought he had some really strong carries. But I just think that the momentum was so against Queensland, it was so hard for them to wrestle it back. And they didn't have any big boppers like Papali'i and Walsh to really just somehow, some way, wrestle it back. You could even argue that like the outside backs just didn't really have the same impact. I mean, they definitely didn't have the same impact as New South Wales, but there was no individual that really took the game on his back and tried to change momentum. Again, it's all so easy to sit here and
100%
to talk about it. The problem is every single Blues player played to what they should on paper. You know what I mean? I think last year we got a bit disillusioned with how good is that Blues team because they got beaten by a team, But I think this year we realised, oh shit, actually on paper they are fucking incredible. And they do have Jerome Luai and Nathan Cleary that have got the first and second for try assists in the NRL. They do have To'o, who is leading meters and post-contact meters and tackle breaks. They do have James Tedesco, Latrell Mitchell, and Tom Trbojevic in their backline. Like, that is fucking amazing. Like, those three names alone. Crazy. And I think Queensland and everyone, we felt that in full force last night. We felt what Queensland felt for we felt what New South Wales felt for so many years where you're just like, what can we do? You're like, just last night, like I'm not saying that they've got the series won or anything. Fuck. Queensland's are battlers. We'll turn it around. But
especially game two at Suncorp.
Game two at Suncorp, yeah. But there was a feeling of like, what can we do? When we've got Teddy, Latrell and Tommy and Brian To'o and Addo Carr coming at us, how do you match that? Just like for so many years, New South Wales, like we've got Webke, Lockie, Thurston, Cronk, Slater. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've got Greg Inglis, Slater, Hodges, Lockie, Cronk, Thurston, Cam Smith. Like, how do we stop that?
And I think that's to your point before. Like, New South Wales probably have a better team on paper. So if Queensland come out and they're not tackling harder or running harder, then what chance do they have?
That's what I mean. They have no chance. That's the only area where we can out-enthuse them. And that's what we did in Game 3 last year, is we came out and just fucking out-enthused them. Whereas a team with that much talent, out-enthusing us, very hard to go with. So, look, don't get me wrong. The fucking Queensland boys, they'll turn it around. They'll be hurting. DC will be hurting. Munster will be hurting. They'll fucking be ripping and tearing in Game 2. I've got full faith in the boys that at the very least that they'll fucking rip and tear and give everything they've got Game 2. At the very least.
Just on Queensland, I know it's hard to find a shining light, but someone like Mo Fotuaika comes to mind. He was great. I like Sua's hit on Latrell. That was fun to watch.
That was good. That was fun to watch.
What's your opinion on
Look, it's tough. Like, obviously, Mo Fotuaika was fantastic. He was our best player in my opinion. But it's like it was the biggest win in New South Wales history.
Yeah, crazy.
You know what I mean? So, like, they just dominated us. Everywhere in the park, we didn't have a single better player than them. From 1 to 17, they all played nearly to their potential. And so, again, but this is Queensland. We can turn this around. We can fucking turn this around. Or at the very least, we can go down swinging. And I think that at the very fucking least, we're going to go down swinging. But I think we could turn around. Look, any team with Munster in it and Papali'i, I said it last year as well, any team with Munster and Papali'i in it can do fucking anything. So I think they're going to be massive ins. Also, Kalen Ponga. Yeah. People forget Some of his Origin performances have been fucking incredible. That's a big in for us as well. So, yeah, look, I've got full faith in the boys. They can turn around. I just think we need to change our game plan a little bit. But it was New South Wales night. You can't take it away from them. You know what I mean? You can't take it away from them.
I guess that's pretty much all the topics that we've got. Just to sign off, give us, if you're sitting there, I know Dally M's don't count to Origin, but give us your 3-2-1 and give us your final thoughts on the game and what to expect for game 2.
Man, 3-2-1. Fuck. Because like Tommy and Trell are inseparable for me. You know, I'll go 3 Tommy because Trell did make an error. So I'll go 3 Tommy, 2 Latrell, and 1 probably To'o.
Yeah.
You know, like they were just electric. Like listen to this. Listen to their back stats.
I mean, To'o 26 runs, I think, on debut.
26 runs in your Origin debut. It's fucking amazing. Okay, this is their back stats. Tedesco, 212 metres. To'o, 213 metres. Latrell Mitchell, 167 metres. Tom Trbojevic, 215 metres. Addo-Carr, 100 metres. And their tackle breaks were 9, 5, 10, 5, 4, and 1. Like, bruh.
Wow.
Like, wow. Wow. Now we will go to the fan questions then. Okay, let's go to the fan questions. Not fan questions, sorry, community questions. Okay, on Instagram, we've got Hello Sport. Would you also like a Black Chiefs Blue wig for today's review? Can have one express couried. Obviously, the Black Chiefs Blues is going to happen next week. I feel fucking sick. Look, every dog has its day. You know, it is what it is. You got to take your licks, man. You got to take your fucking licks. I'm surrounded by New South Welshmen, and you just got to stand tall, baby. You got to stand tall. You got to take your licks. Yes, you were the better team. Yes, we got butt fucked. All that kind of stuff. Yes, I'm a piece of shit. Yes, all that kind of everything you want to say. That's what I am right now. Take me licks. I deserve it as a Queenslander. I deserve it. You have earned the right to spray me. But we'll see how we go going forward.
Man, the Blues and Tommy Turbo are making it easy for the Hello Sport boys at the moment, aren't they?
My fucking honestly, it's a joke. It's a joke. He's so good. It's like, how are you that good? You know what I mean? It's a fucking joke. Can you go on the Instagram and read me the questions,
sure
please?
Thing.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, that's the thing. Everyone in the New South Wales side, especially the starting 13 and Junior and Payne, were fucking amazing.
Alex Wilding said, did New South Wales win purely with sexual prowess?
Fuck, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it was pure display of testosterone jizzing everywhere. They jizzed all over Queensland. Literally, they went up to Townsville, jizzed on the stadium, and then flew out. There's going to be 1 million women pregnant probably from watching that performance. 1 million New South Wales fans at least pregnant. Because, geez, it was arousing as a New South Wales fan. Like, when you took a step back, even as a Queenslander, watching these young superstars just do things that you're just going, holy fuck. You just had to respect it. It fucking made me feel sick, and it pissed me off, and I was filthy, and I didn't speak for the whole night after it. But it was beautiful to watch. Like, just beautiful footy. Beautiful. And also, actually, quickly, before we get... Can we have every game ref like that?
Oh, how good was that?
Like, come on. How good was that? Fair play to the refs. Like, fucking good on them. Like, that was great reffing. Like, yes, there were some head highs. You know, they reported it, whatever. That was great reffing. Like, don't get me wrong. I felt like there were some calls that were pretty tough, but, like, that's going to happen. Like, 50-50 calls, don't go your way, whatever. But the broad scheme of things, I thought the refs deserve a massive rap. And let's keep it this way. Why for Origin we put the whistle away, but for club we don't? Like, there's not a single person that I reckon watching that wouldn't be like, fuck, that's better. That's the good medium of what we need to do as refs. So fucking good on the refs. That was a really open, free game. Wasn't constantly stopped looking at fucking replays of everything.
Well, the penalty count was 4 all, so 8 penalties, and there were 3 things put on report. So 3 of the 8 penalties were deemed enough like bad enough to be reportable. So that I think that's really good. Only 8 penalties and 5 that like weren't on report.
Yep.
Another question, not really a question, but it's an interesting take on Capewell. Do you think Queensland should bring in a specialist centre and then push Capewell into the forwards?
I think we need him in the forwards just to tighten us up a bit because he's fucking good forward player and he's a starting back rower in the Penrith Panthers. You know what I mean? So I think we need. The only problem is like who do you replace him with?
Yeah, exactly.
I think last year's series win has disguised the lack of depth we have. You know what I mean? We got the win, so we kind of forgot. Look, there's a reason why people were saying this is the worst side ever last year. Like, there's a reason. Like, we had no depth. We had some guys that were struggling to make their first grade side. You know, for example, Joe Offengow, he right now, he's coming off the bench for the Tigers. You know, so it's we just... I think that Queensland Rugby League is struggling right now, as you can see by the positions of the teams on the table. But the Queensland jersey is so magical that it gets us out of big wins. And I think I think that the legacy that's been laid before us creates that magic. But you can't deny the fact that if you've got a back rower playing centre and you have to keep him there because you don't have a single centre that you believe is up to, that's a worrying sign. But again, I believe yes, Queensland footy may be struggling, but again, that Queensland jersey is so magical that it will make up for it.
This is an interesting one from Tommy Gibbs, who's the son of Blues and Manly Dr. Nathan Gibbs. Why aren't coaches in club footy more willing to give players a role like Turbo's yesterday?
It's tough because it's Turbo. Do you know what I mean? There's only one Turbo. So I don't know any other player other than him and maybe Tedesco that can... Because people don't understand, to have the footy IQ to know when to leave your position is so fucking hard. And so I think a lot of other teams don't do that because they don't have Tom Trbojevic. Tell me another player at another club that you would be confident would have the fitness, the prowess, the footy IQ, the ball playing, the ball running to do that.
Well, they're all probably playing fullback for their club.
Yeah, they're all playing fullback for their club.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I just think Tom Trbojevic is just so fucking good that he can do that in any team because he can literally play probably any position. He could probably play front row. He's that fucking good.
Unbelievable. This from Liam. How hard was it to climax and rub one out after last night's loss, Kempy?
Baby, it's never hard for me to climax. Never hard. Wasn't an issue.
Unsung hero last night.
Unsung hero, probably a Payne Haas. I just thought he come on and absolutely fucking skittled us every time. I thought Isaiah Yeo was just gritty, just cleaned up. Only one missed tackle, over 30 tackles. Damien Cook, real unsung hero. All the hype was on Harry Grant. Again, that's mainly because he was injured, so there was a lot of chat around, is he going to be sweet? And also his incredible performance last year. But, Damien Cook, he got the job done. He got his troops where they needed to go. He made the right decisions, and he let the people outside him shine brilliantly and picked his moments brilliantly. So, probably those three for me, I think were... Oh, and Cam Murray's job in the first half on Fafita was fantastic.
I've got a couple of these ones. Do you think it's too early for Reece Walsh to be in the conversation?
Yeah. This is not about personnel, in my opinion. Now, don't get me wrong. We don't have that much depth right now, whatever. But the biggest issue right now, obviously it's going to be good getting Papali'i back. It's good going to be getting Christian Welch hopefully back. But it's the missed tackles, it's the errors, it's the silly penalties. That's not personnel. That's attitude. And so I just think Reece Walsh in Origin right now, I just think it's a little bit too soon. Obviously, he's absolutely going to play NRL, but just a little bit too soon right now. We just need to fix up the attitude thing. Not to say that Queensland had a bad attitude, not at all. It's just more about, I guess, the mindset of structured kind of footy. Let's throw that out the window and just go fucking hell for leather like we did Game 3 last year.
From Who's Nath, do you think Reid Marnie would have changed up Queensland's attack?
Maybe. It's hard to say because I still think Harry Grant did some fucking fantastic things. Maybe he would have missed less tackles maybe. so he might have shored up the defence a little bit more. I'm not sure. But what I can say for sure is letting him play on the weekend was an error, absolute error. And, we're going to pay for it in this series because we don't even have the option of having him in the team right now. So, maybe he would have cleaned up a bit with less missed tackles. But again, maybe it was just a red-hot New South Wales side and whoever we put in there was going to get fucking dusted. We don't know.
From Jet Haddon, does the Mo data fire the Queenslanders up or is it a bad omen?
Well, this Mo is actually connected to the Broncos.
Of course.
So the Mo is going if Broncos lose.
This is a good one. Will Tommy's origin eligibility be revoked when it's revealed that he's an alien and not in this world?
No, he'll actually play for Queensland because everyone knows aliens are from Queensland. Read their name out before you say.
Sorry, that was from Jay Costello. That was a great one.
No, actually, everyone understands that aliens are from Queensland. So, look, I do think that he should be stricken from the books of eligibility for New South Wales. I think it's bullshit that an alien gets to play for New South Wales. Like, since when were aliens ever born in New South Wales? Tell me one time an alien has ever been born in New South Wales. They haven't. So clearly New South Wales cheating. It's fucking bullshit. And I'm actually going to write a letter. I'm writing a letter.
This is an interesting one from Zen Daily. Does Mitch Dunn deserve a shot for Queensland? Averages 30 to 40 tackles a game. Queensland lacked grit. What about some younger players like Tuala or Gilbert? Should they get a go?
I mean,
as you did say before, it's not about personnel, but
it's not really about personnel right now. It's it's like you can bring anyone you want in. We had 51 missed tackles. You know what I mean? And I mean, you could maybe argue, okay, well, if you brought someone in, they'd miss less tackles, but you'd have to bring in 5 new people. You know what I mean? So yeah, look, I don't think that many changes will be made because you don't want to bring in debutants now because then it's like we don't know. You know what I mean? Like we don't know how they're going to go. Now you could risk everything and bring a debutant in, but I think that we just, getting Papali'i back, getting Welch back, getting Ponga back, I think it's going to help drastically. Just for the confidence, I think Greeny will change the game plan slightly and will be very competitive come game 2.
This is probably the toughest question. Dan Kohler, do you see any weaknesses in the Blues?
Not right now. Not right now. Really, it is really hard to see any weaknesses in the Blues. Now, clearly there are weaknesses because, we beat them last year. But when they're playing like that, no. We need if they're playing like that, we need to be perfect. You know what I mean? We need to be perfect if they're playing like that. So right now, as a footy side, there is absolutely no weaknesses. Matter of fact, it's worse than no weaknesses. They have a back line that is all the best at their club, nearly. It's just like the best in the NRL. Like, for example, you got Luai, Cleary, and To'o. They're all leading the NRL for statistic stuff. Then you've got Tom Trbojevic, who in his short period of games is leading the NRL. And then you've got Tedesco, who's fucking got runs on the board. And then you've got Latrell, who is Latrell. And then you've got Adokar, who is Adokar, So, it's going to be tough to beat them.
We've got a fuck, marry, kill. To'o, Tariq Sims, and Tommy Turbo.
Well, I'm killing Tom Turbo 100% because he's tearing my life apart. I got to fucking sit here, listen to fucking Hello Sport every week, talk about how great Tommy Trbojevic is, and I love him too much. I love Tommy too much. It's going to be a love kill. It's a passion. It's a passion kill, a passion murder. What was the other two?
Brian To'o and Tariq Sims.
I'm going to marry To'o because he seems like a good loyal man. And what was the
Tariq Sims?
And what was the other option though?
Tariq's fuck.
Oh well, yeah, Tariq's a snack, so we'll go Tariq.
From Luke 94, if Ryan Paps, aka Lil Pappy, aka the Flying Boner, is back, does he? Oh well, the question actually, does he replace Teddy? That's a no. But does he make the team?
Ryan Pappy, aka Papa Newson, aka Little Pappy, aka the Snacking Newson, aka the Flying Boner. Is that who you're talking about?
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I don't think anyone gets replaced.
Yeah, fair enough.
I really don't. It was a record win. You know what I mean? Record win. It would be unfair to replace anyone other than maybe bringing Angus Crichton onto the bench. But again, it's a record win. Record wins. I don't think you'd make any changes.
Well, maybe there's one change. Dan Patsky, how much difference would the beak have made if he was in?
For Queensland? We would have lost by 100. Fuck. Would have been worse. Fuck that.
From Mitch Buckley, I'm still erect after the game. Is it ever going to go away?
It honestly might not. That's how good the game was. But, good luck with that. I hope it fucking, you don't want a boner forever. You'll be in jail before you know it. You'll be in jail after one day of work.
I've switched to Facebook. This is a bit of a tactical one, technical one. Did the Blues set out to slow the play of the ball down? There were lots of 6 agains for Queensland early on, but it looks like New South Wales are happy with it as long as they slowed Queensland down. I didn't like it, but it's modern football. Queensland just didn't adjust.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Absolutely. Like, Blues were laying all over Queensland. I actually think they could have got more 6 against them. And it's the reason why I didn't say it earlier is because if I say that, fucking you're just biased, you're just Queensland. Like, I genuinely believe that New South Wales made it a point of just like, let's just fully slow them down. We'll give away 6 against. And we won't do it on our own line because that's where you can get sent. And just ruin their rhythm. Because like the problem is that Munster, he needs momentum. He needs to get a bit of momentum so that he can start fucking. Whereas if he's constantly on the back foot, it's very hard for him to get going and get moving. So I definitely think it was a tactic from the Blues to hold them down as long, and it's a good tactic. As I said, masterclass from Freddie, masterclass. Queensland have got to adapt to it. They've got to adapt to it, and unfortunately they didn't.
This is from Dan Taitoko. Apologies if I got that wrong. This is an opinion more than a question, but I like your thoughts. Grant should have been given a 10 to 20 minute spell mid-game, was gassed last 25 minutes. Brimson could have filled in during that time. His injection was wasted when he finally came on. Yeah,
look, when you've got a guy like Cameron Smith saying he hasn't played any footy, a bit concerned about his match fitness, like that's what I'm not getting. I don't get how Greeny really thought. Like, Harry Grant is not superhuman. He's a human being. He should have been rested, as you just said, in the middle of the game to give him time. Like, he hasn't played in 4 or 5 weeks. Like, you can't just expect him to go out to. It was probably the fastest Origin ever. Like, it's the first time we've had all these new rules for it. Yeah, I just think that he should have been brought off with 10 before halftime, and then maybe the 10 after halftime, then brought back on. But again, Harry Grant's incredible. He's fucking amazing. He's our hooker for the next 10 years. He'll be better for it. Queensland will be better for it.
We spoke about refs before, and I reckon this was one of the better bunker calls of the night. But from Matt Ackworth, do you agree with the try being given even though Haas didn't influence the play? The rule has always been black and white if you're within the 10 metres. He looks up and sees 3 plays instead of 2 to provide some kind of influence. Obviously, it didn't make a difference in the end, but should it be have called that way?
Absolutely, it should have been a try. I'm pretty sure that there have been times in the past where the ref has chosen to say he didn't affect the play whatsoever. So I'm not sure that it's such a sure thing that it's been black and white. I think for the last year or two, they've allowed players, if they're in the 10 but they don't affect it, to get away with it. So look, even as a Queenslander, that's a try every day of the week. That's just a cold drop from Xavier Coates, and I don't think Payne Haas being there. If Payne Haas isn't there, that doesn't make him catch it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's what you got to ask yourself. What? So if there was 2 people there, he wouldn't catch it? I don't think so. I don't think it affects the play whatsoever. So even though it sucked, I definitely thought it was a try.
This is probably an impossible question, but from Jack Duckett, is this New South Wales side better than the 04-05 era of Johnson Fittler?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. It's totally different generation, totally different set of rules. It's been one game. You got to remember, Freddie and Joey, they've done it multiple times. This is just one incredible game. But it on paper, it's one of the best New South Wales sides I've personally seen, especially in the back line.
Sweet. That's it for the Facebook and Instagram questions.
That's it. All right. That's it for the review. Apologies, the Finch-dog couldn't make it. He's sick, but he'll be good to go next week, I'm pretty sure. Make sure to grab a case of Bloke in a bar, grab a hat from bloke.shop, and I'll go and fuck myself. Thank you.